This is an example of poor professional boundaries. Heidi is a 40-year-old personal care worker who travels to the homes of several clients each week. One of her clients is Marion, a 79-year-old single woman. Marion has no children but enjoys the company of her niece, Darla, on holidays. Marion seems very lonely to Heidi. It's clear that Marion looks forward to the caregiver's visits. For the past few months, Marion has been insisting that Heidi takes gifts from her. It started with a few small things, like a candle that Heidi admired. Now Marion is offering Heidi her dining room table and chairs. Marion jokes that if Heidi doesn't take them, she will think that Heidi doesn't love her anymore. Heidi finally agrees to take the table and chairs, justifying that the furniture will get more use at her house. So issues around this. First one, very simple, is learning how to say no. This has all snowballed from the initial offer of a small gift. So, offered a candle, at that point, her position should have been explained. We are not allowed to accept gifts. Blanket. That way, it wouldn't have gone any further. But each successive acceptance of a gift, which has increased perhaps in value, has got to this point now where she's been offered an expensive, perhaps, table and chairs. Second issue, gifting policies. All care providers must have a policy on gifting. Most of them are very clear, explaining that you can accept gifts, but not to the value of more than £5. Any gifts accepted still have to be reported to the manager so they can be logged in a central register, so we can keep an eye on those. This is obviously not being followed. There is no way a table and chair set will be covered under a company gifting policy. Also brings up the issue of gifts versus expenses. As a care worker working in the community with people, you will sometimes incur expenses. Quite often this will be something simple like going out for a meal with the individual and them putting the price for you to have a meal as well. Most policies will state that the care staff will pay for their own meal unless the service user or the next of kin has stated that they want to actually pay for that service user to have a meal as well. We also need to consider, importantly, whether this is financial abuse. Is the acceptance initially of a candle part of a way of encouraging greater and more expensive gifts in the future? You cannot be depriving an individual of their possessions. People think of financial abuse as the taking of an individual's money, but it also covers their personal possessions. Now, if she's gradually asset stripping, if you like, that individual of their property and their possessions, then this is a clear case of financial abuse. We need to consider the carer-service user relationship as well in this. At one point, she jokes with Heidi, if you don't take this, I think you won't love me anymore. Now, going back to the very beginning of that relationship between carer and care user, it needs to be made extremely clear that you do not, under any circumstances, lead the person to believe that you have a special relationship with them. It is a professional relationship. There is no situation where a service user should believe that they have a special relationship with the carer or that the carer actually loves them. Goes back to what we've said before. You are a professional carer. You are not a professional friend. The last thing we need to consider is the implications of this. I'm assuming from that scenario that this is something that is between the carer and the service user. It hasn't been disclosed to the manager. Nobody knows about this. That means that the care user now has something on the carer. She is, if you like, under her power. So we need to be really careful that we don't put ourselves as carers in a position where allegations can be made against us for financial impropriety. If there is ever a falling out between them for whatever reason in the future, if there is a breakdown in that professional relationship, the care user can quite easily come back and say, well, she's taken this off me, this off me, this off me, and this off me. and that could leave the carer open to potential prosecution.